All right, let's talk about the markets. Not unexpectedly, it has been largely a sideways day, staying sort of on the south side of the range. And although price is being fairly boisterous right now, I do expect it to decline over the next 6 hours. It's too early to say that it's made the low, that we've printed the low, which would have been at the close of trading yesterday. It's possible that things are going to get lower. I have this worked out as a type of measured move. If we went down this far, then we could go down just as far. And I have this green line here as sort of a panic area. It's important to realize that even if this is the beginning of a long-term bear market, price can rebound quite a bit. You know, it could get all the way back up into almost near this pause area up here, or a little higher, before it continues down along this khaki line here. But I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I still think the market will probably continue sideways for a while. Sideways to gently down for a week or maybe two, or a little longer, while people sort of work out the extent of the effect of coronavirus. I would say that most of the effects of coronavirus are man-made overreactions, but we'll have to see, because if things get much worse, then maybe it isn't an overreaction. That's the funny thing about overreactions. You don't really know until afterwards. You don't know until hindsight whether a trend is over. Okay. Let's attend to some business. I wanted to just quickly go over this one again. The first principle. Firefighters. I used to be a volunteer firefighter, so I know this for a fact. The first priority of firefighters isn't to save your life. If you are endangered by a fire, or if there's a chemical spill that needs to be cleaned up, or you need to be cut out of your car or something, you are not actually the first priority on any firefighting rescue operation. The first priority is to keep themselves and their team alive, because you can't rescue anyone if you're dead, or if you get stuck and need to be rescued as a firefighter. You're just creating another problem for the team and putting the operation further behind. For the same reason, airlines always tell you to put your own breathing mask on before you help your child, because if you're unconscious, you can't put the mask on for your child who needs oxygen. So the first principle is to take care of yourself, and that you can't trade if you lose your money. That's what safety first means. And I didn't say it in the last video, and I just wanted to clarify exactly what I'm talking about. All right. Let's look at the next order of business. Principle 2 is to wait for clarity. Trading opportunities are not binary. We have to wait for the market to move first to be able to know what to do. As I said before, the market is not a deterministic natural phenomena. It's not something that we can deduce or forecast based on first principles, based on the earliest state or a past state. We can't say that things are going to end up here because something that happened in the past. Markets can change their minds. They can act on information. It's if I can use a chess metaphor, which I will often. You wouldn't program a chess computer to try to guess the outcome of a chess game based on the first few moves of the opponent, right? You have to react to the moves that they're making. So wait for certainty and then act without hesitation. All right, that's principle number 2. I'm going to continue with the introductions here, and then once introductions are out of the way, then we'll dispense with them. And if I ever have a viewer, they can ask me questions as it see fits. All right, so who am I? Well, I'm a guy with a little bit of a health problem, the N24 sleep issue that I mentioned on the other episode. I think I sent you to the Wikipedia page, or if I didn't, you can just Google it. Non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder. But basically means I get up an hour later every day. People with this condition are miserable and they're unhealthy on average. They tend to be slightly desperate, which is a major factor in deciding to become a risk-taking trader for some people, as it was for me. I could write a book about this disability, but since that has nothing to do with trading, Forex, or any of the topics which I'm really interested in, I'm just going to leave it there for now. But what you should know is that you can't depend on me to be anywhere to release anything at the same time every day. I'm usually going around the clock, doing things when I can. So for someone like me, is it worth trading at all? It's kind of an open question. But I'm going to deal with that in the next section. For now, let me continue to be pessimistic and try to scare you away from trading as a vocation. I don't think we'll deal with warnings and disclaimers next time. But here's a warning you should think of. I can't think of any famous traders who also teach trading. They might in a private setting or on a small scale, but likely they're just too busy trading and running their business. And life's kind of funny like that. If you can't do something, you teach. So you should always be suspicious of anyone who says they can or will teach you how to trade. Most likely, they're trying to scam you in some way, or at very best, they're selling some kind of third-rate info at a premium price. So if that's true, how can you know you can trust me? And the answer is you can't. You really can't know. There's not really anything I can do to make myself completely trustworthy. However, I'm not really doing this to teach you necessarily anything. I'm doing it to consolidate what I've learned over 4 years. I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm still a neophyte, sort of coming to grips with the real nature of things. You might still learn something in the process, I hope. But you should always be on your guard for bullshit and use your own critical thinking to decide if you're being fed a line designed to bait and hook you into some scam. As for me, I know some things, and so I've got nothing to peddle. I'm not selling anything. As an outsider to the brokerage industry and the market makers, the trading guru industry, I hope I can give something close to a balanced view. I hope. And I don't expect that to be a popular viewpoint either. But based on the information that I provide, I'm hoping you can judge for yourself. All right. I'm beautiful on the inside, so I usually use cartoon avatars. This dog eating dog reminds me that it's a dog eat dog world, especially in trading, and that smart money always beats the naive money. But this was actually a logo that I had left over from a business that failed years ago. I hired an artist to make this illustration, and I like it. It's a pretty good avatar. Um, so yeah, I have various aliases as people do on the internet. I'm not yet ready to sort of come out and fully overcome my imposter syndrome and use my full name and real identity, which is fine, I think, for now. There's some sites there. There's not much to look at yet. Unfortunately, I don't know if Twitch has the ability to add links to a description the way YouTube does. So you may just have to Google it. But it's evidence-based effects just about everywhere. On YouTube, it's evidence-based effects. On Twitter, it's based FX, BASED I have a few years of experience trading currencies, equity indices, commodities, stocks, but mostly long only, no options or hedging. And maybe more important than my trading experience is that I've gone about learning and examining the markets in a relatively different way than most people do it. I've done a lot of original research and bare metal experimentation. I thought that some of it could be of interest to you if you're tired of traditional methods of trading and trader education, which is to say, mostly useless, full of charlatanry and voodoo education. Overly focused on trader psychology. Like, that's one warning sign for me, is when a trader talks mostly about your psychology and your psychological reaction to things. For me, I think that if you have a legitimate, verifiable edge, that the psychology, well, you still can have moments. Another problem is when people talk about price action and use that term very vaguely, not really explaining what they mean. So, I'm going to try to present things in as scientific a method as I can by presenting a hypothesis, doing some tests, and seeing what the right results are, what the outcomes are. And I'm hoping that, I mean, that's slow, but it's real. Instead of taking someone's word for something, you can do it and try it out yourself and prove that it works. That's the idea behind science, and it's the idea behind this approach. All right. If you've wondered, and I think I mentioned this already, but I have nothing to sell, no products, no books, no courses. Obviously, I reserve the right to change that in the future if I do produce anything. But in exchange for money, I think it'll be always offered on something like a recovery basis, which means that if you are able to make money with it, then you can pay me. Otherwise, why would I charge you? My integrity and reputation as an independent, uninfluenced researcher is, I think, what's most important. It sets me apart, makes me a rarity in the FX sphere, which is generally a cesspool of secret deals, white label, umbrella, affiliates, disguised and poorly disguised self promotion, or outright fraud. So if anyone asks in the future, I can show them the slide and say, here's what I aspire to, although I may fall short, but at least I have a moral target. You know, so basically, what I'm talking about is that to do scientific research, you need to have integrity and independence. So I'm not being paid to review anything. I don't have any secret deals with anybody. I'm currently fully employed as a trader. My only income is through trading. The other thing is I take recommendations. If you have suggestions about things that I should be looking at and testing, you know, is this guy legit? Is this product legit? I'll do it. I'll look at it and try anything out. My general approach is usually to try everything and discard the things that don't work. All right, do what you say when you're going. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Easier to say than to do, although you wouldn't know it from me. Okay, so that is the end of the introductory slide. Let's look at the trade of the week. It has hit. Not the way I thought it would. So things are a little more optimistic, or they kind of The market's reacting a little more cynically to the news than I expected. And basically, people are saying, yeah, coronavirus is serious and this may be a long-term downturn, but for now, things look cheap, which is what it looks like to me. So, which is why I'm basically long. And you can see that it came down quite a bit, a lot more than I would have expected. But these are crazy times that we're in right now. You can see I mean, I don't even need an indicator, any kind of band to be able to see that the range is huge. Price is fluctuating wildly up and down, much more than it has in previous days. And generally speaking, that what you see on the left side here is I hope you can see what's on the left side. You can see my mouse cursor, I think. What's happening over here is sort of normal, and what's happening here is sort of reactions, overreactions. But it didn't trigger the short trade at all, and now that it's come bounced right back up, we'll have to see. Anyway, that long trade is now underway. I haven't taken the short trade off. It's there just in case. I'm willing to eat the difference between the long and the short until we have clarity. Principle number 2. And I put this green line here at the break even. Essentially, if we can get that much profit, I would put a stop loss at break even plus 2 pips and let it run. Just let it run, see how far it can go. And then once it's gone a bit further, I'll set a trailing point where we say that's probably the limit of its upward rise. And we would have to wait a really long time for it to exceed that high. So we'll just take our profits at that point. Anyway, it's on. It remains to be seen how successful it's going to be. But that is the trade of the week underway.